It's coming to that time of the year again when, depending on your role as a teacher, you may be starting to think about whether you're going to be writing transition statements or report writing. Both of those are equally as important when it comes to the progression of a child's learning. So in this video, we're going to look at both how you can go beyond what's been happening today in writing effective transition statements and effective report writing that hone in on a child's capabilities and that accurately passes on key information that next year's teacher will need to be able to ensure that progression occurs, that continuity occurs in learning, and that they can plan and assess a child's capabilities effectively today. Now, before I begin to discuss those two areas, it is important that you understand what exactly progression means in ICT capability. Progression in ICT capability is more than a developing knowledge of technique and skills. Progression in ICT capability means that a child has developed autonomy in the selection and of tools and resources. It also means that they have developed an awareness of the benefits and the limitations of the digital technologies that they use, and that they are able to present their ideas about ICT use in a variety of ways, depending on the audience, and whether they have an understanding of the ICT potential of situations. Now, before I get into those two areas, I just want to first re-emphasize how important it is that when you start to think about transition writing for children, that you do follow the guidelines that your state or territory has set out for you. And there are examples there for you to follow. So I want to re-emphasize the importance of that. And also to make sure that you understand that, how the guidelines work and how things go. The purpose of transition statements is, as with report writing, to ensure progression of learning occurs for when children start school, to provide knowledge of children's strengths and the needs to teachers, and to improve the curriculum design. In the early years curriculum, there are two outcomes that focus and have aspects of the use of technology and ICT throughout the curriculum. Outcome 4, for example, has an aspect of technology use, whereas outcome 5 in the early years learning framework focuses a lot more on the integration of ICT throughout the curriculum. So there are two main approaches that are traditionally used when integrating ICT in the curriculum. You could either use the thematic approach, or you could go off the early years framework curriculum that your state or territory uses. So what are the things that you need to include in a transition statement when writing about a child's ICT capability? I would suggest that you focus on their higher order skills, as these are demonstrated when children decide when it is appropriate to use ICT, when they plan routines, techniques, and processes, when they work independently to solve problems with ICT, when they evaluate the use of ICT use, when they explain and justify their choices of ICT use, and when they reflect on the learning of ICT use. By including these aspects of the ICT capability in the statement itself, you'll be able to go beyond just providing a simple statement about the use of ICT and be able to provide effective information for the future teacher to be able to build on in their planning. These observable behaviours can also be noted down in your report writing in primary education. However, can you recall what I said earlier about the purpose of transition statements? What was the third point? Or second point, I think it was. It was that, one of the purposes of transition statements is to provide the knowledge about a child's strengths and needs for their teachers. And this also goes for report writing, to be able to share perspectives about a child's ICT capability across primary education. But in primary education, it becomes more complex as we look at, as we move on from the early years curriculum to the Australian curriculum, for example, where we have the learning continuum that have level descriptors of what is expected of a child's progression in ICT capability at those learning areas. Focusing on those level descriptions, it would not be helpful to simply report that a child is functioning at level 1. Just to say that, because that simply states that level 1 is the best fit, when in fact that child may be functioning above or below that level. So that brings out the importance of effectively assessing, determining their capabilities in ICT, recording them and using them effectively in your statements. What you need to know is, more information will need to be passed on to teachers. So taking an example from the learning continuum, a teacher would need to know more than just whether a child can use ICT to generate ideas and solutions to learning area tasks. They would need to know which media they had experience in doing this. What programs had they used? Was it with a text program such as a word processor, or a text and image area such as a desktop publishing program? Or what about, did they use image manipulation such as in a drawing or painting program? So those are the key information that you need to be able to pass on to a child's future teacher so that they can build on their learning in ICT capability.